Yeah, I think chapter 9, it discusses with social security or unorganized workers, for unorganized workers. And the central government, again, we discussed to frame schemes for providing social security to gig workers and platform workers. So, as I said, they are slightly differentiated from unorganized workers. Similarly, under 109, section 109, the central government will constitute a social security funds for unorganized workers separately, gig workers, platform workers. Right. So who is a gig worker, who is a home-based worker, who is a platform worker, who is a self-employed worker, who is a wage worker. I think I've given you the section numbers there. You can just note down and go through at leisure time to understand it in better manner. But again, when we say gig workers, it will not be a normal employer-employee relationship, right? Non-traditional relationship, right? Again, Ola drivers we discussed, and I think the Uber Eats persons who are taking the food from the hotel and giving it, delivering it to whoever is required. I think those people will fall under either gig workers or under platform. If they are doing it, maybe if they are providing the service using some digital platform, I think they could fall under platform workers. And home-based workers, we all know, I think it is prevalent in the BD and cigar industry. I think people will take the work. They will not sit and work in the premises of the industrial premises. Instead, in the industrial establishment, instead they will take the work to their homes and do it. Right? Maybe after 1 week or 10 days, they will finish the work and give it to the industry concern. That is how it is. I think home-based workers, that concept is already there. And the self-employed workers, yes, it is. There will not be any formal employers, right? So it is a self-employment like that. Then wage workers, again, similar to that, but of course, what is mentioned is a cap of salary will be whoever is drawing a less than, on average of less than this much amount per month. They will be treated as wage workers. Please go through the sections mentioned against each one to understand it more clearly. And assessment is, we discussed limitation of 5 years. In case of ESI and PF, it cannot go beyond 5 years, claim, right? Even if there is some default on the part of the employers. And instead of inspector, they will now be called as inspector cum facilitators. And in the first place, they will do the facilitation. Only then they will play the role of a typical inspector, like taking penal action and all. And to provide penalty for different types of violations commensurate with gravity. Again, there is an increase in penalty, and the provision for compounding of offense is there. Right. Only thing is the offense. I think no imprisonment should be prescribed as punishment for that offense. Right. If there is only a fine prescribed for the first time alone, I think it can be compounded. Right. With that, I think that could be supportive of employer, but only for the first time. If it gets repeated, then it is not possible. Then prior to prosecution, opportunity to be provided to employer for making corrective actions. And application of Aadhaar, we discussed establishment of identity of the employees and his family members or her family members to avail benefits, right? Again, idea is, one big idea by using Aadhaar card is to get the benefits, whether as an industrial worker or as a citizen of the country. Right, even PDS, public distribution system, we may require Aadhaar to avail the benefits, or maybe the gas LPG subsidy, to avail that, yes, Aadhaar number may be required. So that is how it is going to be. See, even for the industrial workers to avail benefits like PF and other benefits, I think they may require Aadhaar, because it is going to be the base, right? So that is how it is moving towards. Yeah, I think now with respect to the implication of wage, specifically, I've brought 3 slides just to explain how it can work, right? One with respect to PF, another one with respect to ESI, and third one with respect to gratuity, right? See, I have come up with again sample salary structure: basic, DNS allowance, house rent allowance, conveyance allowance, commission. So 12,000, 4,000, then 3 components, 6,000 each. We saw, as per the definition of the term wage, the HRA is now excluded, conveyance allowance is excluded, commission is excluded, right? But the monthly gross comes to 34,000. Total, we add all the 5 components, the total comes to 34,000. But DA and basic and DA alone, it works out to 16,000, which is less than 17,000, which is the 50% mark. Right, I repeat, the sum of basic and DA alone, the inclusion portion of wages, it comes to 16,000, which is less than 50% of the monthly gross. assuming that this monthly gross is the remuneration, right? So it must be at least 17,000. Only then it will be treated as proper salary structure, right? Now, for the purpose of PF, if we have some structure like this, once the code gets implemented, then the PF wages or the deemed wages would be 17,000. So the employer has to make the contribution calculation on 17,000. Employer cannot do it on 16,000, which is the case today, right? So this is how the position gets changed, right? But of course, there is a 15,000 ceiling now. So the employer has the option of restricting the contribution, calculation of contribution to 15,000, or he can make contribution on the entire 17,000. But let us understand, in the first place, PF wages in this situation would be 17,000 as per the new definition. It is not 16,000, right? Now, option you can exercise, the employer can exercise, because the salary ceiling is available, right? So till such time the new scheme is introduced, I think the existing scheme will continue. That is how they have mentioned. I think at least for a year that will be there, right? So as per the current scheme, yes, 15,000 is the ceiling. So let us understand here in this example, PF wages is 17,000, not 16,000, as per the definition, new code, under the new code, right? So PF wages will come to 17,000, but there is an option to the employer to make contributions on entire 17,000 or restrict it to 15,000, because that is available now. Now I move on to next example. Now it is ESI, basic, DA and HRA, only three components, very simple structure, 12,000, 6,000, 6,000. So total comes to 24,000, right? Now, I think as per the current provisions of the ESI Act, right, entire 24,000 will be treated as wages. So which goes beyond 21,000, which is the current ceiling, which means this person need not be covered under ESI at all. So no contributions are required. So that will be the situation. But if we apply the new definition of the term wages, right, under code, now HRA is excluded. It is not treated as part of salary. So salary for the purposes of ESI would be only 18,000. 18,000 means that is less than 21,000, which is the current ceiling. Then I think this person is to be covered under ESI. Right. So this clearly changes the position. Right.